During any kind of an SHTF event, it's inevitable that somebody will show up at your front door and ask for help. And how are you going to deal with those people when they arrive? One of the ways you can deal with those people is with a get away from my house and SHTF kit, which is what I have right here. So stick around for the rest of the video. We're going to talk about what's inside this survival can to get somebody the F away from your house. Hey everybody, it's Magic Prepper, and today we're talking about a get away from my house and SHTF kit. It's a survival can of sorts that you give to somebody who comes to you for help during an SHTF event, which is an inevitability. They will be at your door at some point in time, and you have to decide now how you're gonna deal with those people. So one of the ways you can deal with them is by giving them just enough to get away from your area and survive on their own without coming back for more in the future. And if you're worried about an SHTF event and you're not sure how to deal with people after an SHTF event, then hit the subscribe button below, because these are the things we're gonna keep talking about, and this get away from my house can right here might just be the difference of getting those people away from your front door. Okay, so we're gonna get into the meat of what's inside of this survival can right here to help get somebody away from your property. And of course, this being this channel, we had to use a 50 caliber ammo can, because why not? And also might just kind of send a little bit of a message, at least subconsciously, to the person you're giving it to, that they're probably dealing with the wrong house if they ever think about coming back. Now, this is also good to have because it is metal. It can help them store other things in the future, especially if they ever have to scavenge or, let's say, pick edible plants or whatever it might be, and they have some way of putting them in a container down the road. You can also use these metal cans for other situations, and they do have an O-ring seal on the top that helps them become weather tight. So it does help keep the kit contained in one unit without it having to be exposed to any elements. So I find that to be beneficial, and that's why I chose to use a 50 caliber ammo can. You can do this with a 5-gallon bucket. There's a lot of different things you can do this with, okay? So we're gonna open it up, show you here what's inside. All right, so first and foremost, what is the most important thing people are gonna be looking for in an SHTF event? Well, for starters, water is very important. Making sure people can stay hydrated keeps them alive, and I think that's gonna be a big deal for somebody who's at least desperate enough to come to your front door asking for help. So make sure you get water, and I chose these water cartons because they're refillable, they can be reused, they're BPA free, they're gonna last a little bit longer here in the bottle. They do have about a 1.5 year expiration date, but what's nice about these is that they have a wide mouth to them, which is good for collecting additional water in the future and for using things like filters, which is something we'll talk about here in a minute. So water, we've got 2 water bottles here that get some instant relief if they're worried about being dehydrated, and they're reusable bottles so they can use them to collect more water down the road, which hopefully they go really far away. Okay, so moving on from water, what else do they want? Obviously food, okay? So I have ration bars in here, and these are 2,400 calorie ration bars. So I have 2 of them in this container. That's 4,800 calories. So for one person, you would hope that could at least buy them the minimum of 48 hours, but really if you were to ration this properly, they should at least have 72 hours, and we can get them way far away from us in that amount of time. Now, if you have a few people showing up at your door, this might not be enough to get them more than a day or 2 in the sense of food, but it is something to put in their belly at the time. It makes them feel better about the situation immediately. You don't have to cook it. There's no preparation or anything like that. You rip it open, you eat it, and you're good to go. And hopefully those people that do eat this are far away when they do. So 2 of these are in here to give you 4,800 calories to give away, and hopefully these people know that that's all they're gonna get and they're not gonna come back. Okay, so we'll move this over here and let's see. So speaking of water, you gotta have a way to filter it, especially in SHTF. So here I have a life straw. Now I don't give away my good stuff. So life straws are what I have extras of as backup plans for using water filtration devices. And this is one of those backup life straws. So no, you're not gonna find a mini Sawyer in my kit here because I'm giving this away to somebody I might not care about. But they can have my life straw, that's not a big deal to me. And having additional ways to filter water is always important as a prepper. So I have extra versions of filters, and life straw is one of those extra versions. So a good way to filter water, make sure you have something in there. I mean, a Sawyer Mini would be great, but they're getting my life straw because I don't care about them probably. All right, moving on from there. We're gonna talk about sanitation, because sanitation at SHTF is gonna be difficult to come by, and these people are probably gonna stink, and they're probably gonna need some help with that. So I definitely put in some wipes. Now these are cleansing wipes. They're made for your hands, but trust me, from experience, I can tell you that wipes like these definitely can clean your entire body if need be. And if worse comes to worse, just wiping your face off with these is amazing. So this is a good way to go. And this is just what I'm handing out in the sense of being free to help these people get a little bit cleaner and feel a little bit better about themselves. So when they're walking that far, far distance from my house, they'll feel a little bit better about that walk and not so swampy, let's just say. So give them some wipes. Definitely a good thing to keep in mind. Sanitation helps keep people sane and helps keep people away, okay? Moving on from there, other sanitation, things like Q-tips. And now I got a lot of this stuff at the travel section in Target. So just so you guys know, very cheap, very inexpensive. You can put this kit together for not very much money at all, but it can help get these people away from you. And Q-tips are huge. They have multiple uses for cleaning things, especially when people want to keep up on their hygiene. But there's other things you can use them for, like starting a fire if you need to. So I threw a pack of Q-tips in here. Hopefully it helps them out. Hopefully it doesn't just make them mad and want to come back and hurt me. Okay, so Tylenol. Some kind of pain reliever is huge. Like I said, travel section is the way to go. And with Tylenol, what that does is it gives them some kind of a reprieve from whatever ailments or aches they might be experiencing due to an SHTF scenario. So in that situation, you want to make sure you have the ability to say, hey, look, I'm trying to help you out here. This might help get you through. And plus, if they can't feel the pain, they can walk for that much longer. So here you go. Please go away from me and my house. Okay, moving on from there, we're also going to talk about dental hygiene. So toothpaste and a toothbrush, wow, that can make a huge difference for somebody feeling good or bad when it comes to an SHTF event. So here's a little bit of toothpaste and a toothbrush for you. Please brush your dirty teeth. Your breath smells terrible and I want you to go away. So please take this with you. Have a good day. Now, moving on from there. A really, really basic first aid kit. This is also in the travel section. Like I said, guys, travel section is awesome for things like bug out bags, getaway kits, all those things that you might need in the SHTF event we like to talk about. But for this whole situation, this is the best they're going to get from me. No, they're not going to get any of my awesome IFAKs that I have. They're not going to get my BearFak or any of that other stuff. They're going to get a first aid kit that's really basic with some Band-Aids and stuff. What this is more so psychological than it is actually handy, because they're going to get this, they're going to feel better prepared. They're going to feel like, okay, now I can deal with any wounds or anything that might happen. So I'm going to be a little bit more psychologically calm. And when I'm leaving this house and walking extremely far away from it and never looking back, I'll feel better about that because I have some Band-Aids. So keep that in mind. Tiny little first aid kit. This thing was like $1 or $2. I don't even know, like $2, let's just say. Okay, moving on from there. Don't bring your crappy stomach over to my house. So make sure you have some kind of a antacid or something like that ready for them as well, because their stomachs are going to be disgusting. They're going to eat all that 2,400 calorie survival bar crap food, and then they're going to want to throw up or take a huge dump somewhere, and you're not going to want them near you at all at that time. So take the Tums and get that much further away from my house before that all starts to kick in. And this is going to help them feel better. Once again, another way to psychologically make them think that they're going to be in a better position once they leave your house, which is what you want them to do. Okay. Moving on from there, we're going to talk about just some amenities and necessities of survival, and shelter is an important part of survival. They need somewhere to feel like they can be protected, or some way to protect their bodies, or just some way to get out of the elements. So of course, we've got a Mylar survival blanket, always good to have. It can be used for multiple different applications, such as creating a shelter, like a small makeshift tent or something like that, and it can keep them warm in the cold nights. So hopefully this makes them feel a little bit better about not coming back. And I also threw in survival sleeping bag, which is also Mylar, but the sleeping bags are nice because they either fully enclose somebody in them, so if they are exposed to the elements, it helps prevent more of that, I guess, in one way or the other. Or what's really nice about these is that you can cut them up. They're a lot more material than just the blankets, and then you can turn that into a makeshift shelter very easily, which I have done a long time ago in a video I made a long time ago. I'll let you find that. Anyway, sleeping bag's a good way to go, and it also can be a shelter. Make sure you just mention that there's ways to make shelter within the can, and hopefully they don't try to open the wrapper on the food and use that for shelter later, because they've never done this before in their entire lives. Okay, so moving on from there, you also might want some Cordage. And Cordage is huge for being able to create a shelter. It's also huge for being able to do a lot of other things in the sense of bushcraft or anything related to survival. It can help them relace their shoes or whatever they got to do. But this Cordage can be useful to them, and it can help them with whatever they need to do when they're nowhere near your house anymore. So Cordage is an important part of any survival kit. Throw them some 550 cord. This thing was like $3 at Menards. Not a bad way to go. And it lets them know that they got everything they might ever possibly need, and they should not climb with this cord, but if they need to climb a giant mountain to get away from my house, now they can. Perfect. Okay, so what else do you need to survive? Obviously, fire. So Give them a lighter, make it easy on them. Don't expect too much, but this is a nice little Bic lighter. You can't go wrong, easy to light, and everybody knows how to use it. So one way to start a fire is right here, and another way to start a fire is right here with some waterproof matches. Make sure it's nice and easy for them, and the waterproof aspect helps make sure they light so they don't get cold on the first night and come back to your house. So perfect thing to have. Make sure they can make fire. It helps keep people alive, and it also will make them more comfortable, which will also make them stay away for longer, okay? And I also included a candle. Now, this is just a little emergency candle, but what's nice about candles like this is they can light this and then use this to light a fire, because they've probably never lit a fire before in their life, because that's why they're coming to your front door to ask you for help during an SHTF event and not turning into marauders right away, but it's gonna be a problem down the road. And in the future, they're not gonna have a candle, they're gonna freak out and not have any light at night and then not be able to make a fire. So, just wanted to say, candles are good. It lets them light the candle. It lets them have some form of light without having to keep a heat source going like the lighter. And at the same time, it helps them start more fires down the road if need be. So I included a candle for a way for them to try to at least have some, semblance of normalcy when it comes to sitting in a dark area and not having much light. But now that we're talking about light, let's talk about a flashlight. They do need a way to light up the night so they can see the road or the trail ahead of them, so they can get as far away as humanly possible. And this is a little cheap Nebo light, but these Nebo lights are pretty decent, to be honest with you guys. They're not terrible lights. I mean, yeah, I'm not gonna risk my life on one necessarily, and yeah, I'm not gonna carry one for my EDC, but I think this thing was like $6 or something ridiculous like that, and it's pretty bright, it's LED, it does the job, and it takes a AA battery. So this will get them away from you, and this gives them a way to light up the night and keep moving down that road that they can now finally see whatever steps are coming ahead of them. And what's nice about that is you throw them a few more AA batteries so that light can last a few more nights to get that much further away. Okay, now also just based on hygiene and fire starting, I do have some of those toilet paper tablets in here. Now these are just nice to have. I mean, I gave them the wipes already. If they're not smart enough to use the wipes on their butt when they need to, well, I'm sorry about that, but add water to these. They get bigger. You can use them as wipes, and they actually are great for little fire starters as well. So whatever you decide to do with them, here they are. Hopefully they help you, and keep away from my house, especially if you're using these for what I think you're using them for. All right. Then what else do we have in here? A multi-tool. Now this is not the cheapest part of the kit. I think this multi-tool was really only like $10 actually, so it's pretty cheap. You get these at like home improvement stores, so like Menards or Lowe's or something like that. I think this is Guidesman. Yeah, Guidesman. But it's a decent multi-tool, and it has just about everything you need, okay? And it will do the job, and it has, a saw and everything else you might expect a multi-tool to have. So it gives them a little bit of everything without handing them something nice like a survival knife or something like that. This is just, here's a little bit of whatever you might need, and please go away. And this should do the job for them in the sense of getting by. If they're taking this kit from you, they probably don't even have a basic pocket knife. So this multi-tool covers just about everything, and there won't be anything else for them to complain about or wish they had if they have this instead, okay? So that's the idea anyway. Maybe a little psychological tool too, because guess what? Multi-tool, oh, I can do anything I ever would possibly need to do. Thank God I can leave now forever and never look back. Perfect, okay. Now, there's one more thing in this kit, just one, and it's very important, and I think everyone needs to make sure they have this in this kit, okay? It's just something I find to be extremely valuable, and I wanna make sure that we get the message across that we've been trying to talk about this entire video of get away, just go somewhere. You know what I'm saying? Lingerers, man. So make sure you leave a note. Don't come back. This is at the bottom of the kit. Once they go through all that stuff and they realize, crap, I'm out of luck and I have nothing left to deal with any of these pains and problems of SHTF and the post-apocalyptic wasteland that I'm now transversing, guess what? Don't come back. You let them know. You told them. The note's in there. So now you don't have any negative feelings about how you're gonna react when they do come back. Because when they do, which they might, which they probably will, because that's how this all works, you gave them a note. So you don't have to feel bad about how you act in that moment. Just throwing that out there. So this is the kit. Get away from my house in SHTF kit. I love this idea. I got it from City Prepping. I will link his video right up here in the top of the corner of the camera here. And I want you guys to check it out because his is very well thought out. It's also very, let's say, logical and has a lot of good explanation to it, and maybe a little bit less aggressive than this kit, but this kit is also, in my opinion, my version of it to say, hey guys, you know what? This is what I would probably do, and I would also make sure to be very adamant about the whole don't come back thing. Just don't. And listen, I live on property now. I am in a completely different part of the country in the sense of where I live and what's around me. And if someone's coming up to my front door, it took them a while to get here, and that's gonna concern me. So this kit better keep them away, and if it doesn't, I'll definitely see them coming. So, wanted to give you guys some ideas. Make sure, if you need anything from me, magicprepper.com. You can also check us out on Patreon. We're gonna have some new content coming out over there soon. And if you need anything else at all, there's a contact form on the website. But I do appreciate all the support, and I just wanna mention that that's gonna be it for Magic Prepper.